From land to land, trying to make things alright. Only meeting after meeting, constantly reaching for what they really think is right. Everybody has a plan, they not just a man. People, can't you understand? We gotta tell them about the enemy until God is seen. Stay like a darkness, baby. About the enemy until God is seen. Stay like a darkness, baby. We're only in the dark. Has come to light. Tell me who's to blame and what's his name? What you gonna remember? What was good was not right, man. So we gotta never be until God is seen.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the most just. I greet all of you who have the hunger and thirst for truth and righteousness in your heart, and the sincere desire to do what's right in the eyes of God. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace from the God of peace. May Allah's salam alaikum. I want to say to those of you who live on this earth with us that have not taken the time to look at the creation and marvel over the magnificent checks and balances that you see in the natural creation. For you to think that something as ordered and magnificent as the earth and the creatures and people on it came about through some accident of explosion or whatnot, and not by intelligence, is manifest the shallowness of your mind. Children never give it a second thought when they go to the refrigerator and find the milk, the juice, the fruit, all of those wonderful things in there. I'll go to the cabinet and take the cereal box down, or a box of crackers, or some canned goods and whatnot. They never give it a second thought that commodities, those different things that they love so much, didn't just miraculously appear in the refrigerator and in the cabinet. And the cabinet didn't just make itself. It all came about by intelligence. But the child, you might could tell him a story that someone waved a magic wand and it all appeared. But as with most adults, as we grow out of childhood, we leave all of those foolish thoughts behind. When we get a chance to see what a house looks like when you first move in it, there's no furniture. There's no refrigerator. There's no stove. There's cabinets, but you open them, they are empty. And sometimes there are no cabinets there because people building it from scratch. And when you see something built from scratch, then you know without a doubt that the childish idea that you may have had, that you may have brought there, that's not how it went. Is that right? Isn't it wonderful that you can get back and look at pictures now of Mars? they have went there and they've sent pictures back of other balls in space. And is something missing? Where's all the people? Where's all the animals? Where is all the things on all of these other balls out in space that we have on this ball? I mean, gravity is there. Is that right? They even found, according to them, they found traces that looked like water had been there. And ice. But where's the people? Where's all of the life? Then it would make you think that, hey, I remember one foolish man told me, they hiding underground. If somebody came from another place to visit Earth, do you suppose we would all go hide underground? But anyway, the point is, how can you say in your heart that there is no God unless you are a fool? I don't have to see, because I wasn't even born when the Empire State Building was built. I don't think I was born then. And in this flesh here. But if no one had ever told me that men, and I look at man, and I look at that great big building, and I say, maybe when I was a child, and somebody say, that man built that. That creature there built that great big old thing. Say, oh man, you better get out of here. Well, go to the ant, thou sluggard, and study her ways and become wise. Look what ants build. Little bitty creature. You ever looked at a beehive? That little bitty creature built that thing. Huh? And you don't have to look too far. Just look who's building stuff now. So there's no question that man built it. Is that right? Okay. Soon, all the doubt and about who is God and all of that, when you see what the future holds for us, of course, many of y'all ain't gonna be here, but because you didn't believe, so you can't stick around. But everybody who believed, they're going to know not only that this was our plan, but we're going to prove it by doing that same thing everywhere else that we go. Then you will know how planets were formed. There's nothing secret that shall not be made manifest. So we already manifest things that people just don't know. It's like you take you notice you have the Japanese. I think they are far ahead in the robotics field. You can correct me if I'm wrong. If you know, it's certain fields of endeavor that we think that is everybody's working against each other, but that's one of the reasons why you have allies. And many times what you think is just individual or independent effort actually is a quilt of effort. And many are acting in concert with others. But anyway, they look what the Japanese did with that. Remember when President Obama, the robot walked up to him and bowed to him, and he bowed back to the robot, and that kind of thing. Now look what you have been able to do. Matter. You're able to make matter bend and act in accord with your will. And you've just been around here 6,000 years. You know, what do you think makes man say things like, well, I done forgot more than you'll ever know. What kind of statement is that? You look at a lion. Look at a lion. That lion is made out of matter. And when you get down to it, as I was looking at, I like to look at sci-fi because it's truth in a fictional way. There's some truth in it, where the genes of creatures are what forms them into what they are is just a few strands of genetic material that changes what a creature is. And I say, man, that's something, But anyway, the thing that always fascinates me is when I think about what we are actually made of. It's like 60% or between 60 and 75% of what we are is water. I mean, water. Isn't that something? And then the rest, we are earth, dust, and then we have some iron. And notice, if we take all the iron out of our body, we die. Isn't that something? We are the elements. The elements, we are made of the elements in the universe, looking at the universe, discovering what we are. Isn't that something? Yes, man. Well, I wish we could sit down and talk instead of insulting each other. And that's why I don't, I can't. Look, I probably never would have been born if it had not. Matter of fact, I know I would not have been born if it had not been for Allah bringing into being the United States of America. In order to get certain things, it's just like if you want a certain type of seed to grow, you have to put it in ground that is fertile for what's in that seed to nourish itself into becoming what it has the potential to become. Huh? You see, so everything that took place in this country, in the history of this country, created fertile ground for the birth, for the fulfillment of the word of God, for the birth of Elijah, and for the birth of the Son of Man. And then brought about the meeting of the two. No accident. It was all a plan. When you read the scriptures, what do you say when you going to make a when you see, sometimes you see it more with Caucasian people than you do with us, black people. But so I will use them as an example. You may see a empty field, and someone, some wealthy man may go and said, I want to purchase these 50 acres here. So I think that we can probably put up a nice condominium community or a nice mall or whatnot. And then he may say, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And he be standing around there talking with his brother. And he will call his architect and tell him, come look at this. And the architect may come out there. They find the water source and the sewage source and all of that kind of thing. And if everything is what he wanted to be, he says, okay, draw me up a blueprint. Now, he started off with a plan, and then he put it on paper, right? And we stand around, I wonder what they're going to do over there. He know what he's going to do. We just didn't know, right? Okay. So he could say to us, he said, why you want to buy that old lot there? You know, America bought Louisiana from the French, and it was mostly swamp. And the French said, you want it, you take it, right? So if a little done, why you want that on that? Now look what that swamp wind up being. Do you understand? And so when the one who has the vision, and when I say the vision, and I didn't say a vision, I said the vision, you know, because where there is no vision, that's just another way of saying if you have no vision that you are blind. A blind man can have a vision, but a blind man can't have the vision. Do you understand? And so vision means you can see, not just the present, but you can see the future that this present has the potential to become. I want to say to you who, I'm not, it's something that Miss Clinton said, and she was right on. She said, I want to quote her. It's just a little small quote, but we put it in our magazine here. If you see bigotry, oppose it. If you see violence, condemn it. And if you see a bully, stand up to him. All right. Well, I've never seen a bully yet that wasn't violent and wasn't a bigot. Do you understand? If you disagree with a bully, he didn't want to hear you and he threatened you with violence. Is that right? And he would do that until someone challenged him and said, no, I'm not taking that off of you. Now, you do what you think you can do to me, but I'm not taking that off of you, mister. So, I hate bullies. So naturally, if I hate bullies, I hate bigots and I hate violence. Okay, so you who have a disagreement with me, I want you to understand something. Any man appreciates when people compliment him. That is not, it does not take a wise man to appreciate a compliment. Even foolish people smile and appreciate it when you compliment them. So, I don't need to demonstrate how well I can take compliments, because everybody can take compliments pretty well. I need to demonstrate how to stop friction between man and man when they don't compliment each other, when they correct or even condemn one another. This is what we sorely need. We need someone to show us that just because someone disagrees with something that you are about does not mean that they are your mortal enemy. Why don't you have a discussion with them and see if their disagreement with you is valid? So now to put a pin in it right there, I want to go back to where you notice when you see those men standing in that field and he seems to purchase property that you didn't see no value in or whatever. You say, why are you purchasing that, buying that old piece of junk? And he may tell you, well, because I wanted to. But what he's actually telling you is, surely I know what you know not. I understand something that you don't understand that can be done with this. That's what he's saying. That's what was said when Jacob got ready to make these younger races of people, the brown, the yellow, and the white people, and was going to put in them knowledge to make war and fight and break the peace on earth. The angels asked, the messengers of God asked, "What? You mean you're going to place a mind in them that will make mischief and shed blood?" He said, "Surely I know what you know not." Now, the messenger kind of hinted to it when he was reminding us that he knew that the white man, when he came to America, he took this land away from its owners, and he killed he slaughtered many of them. And people said, well, why was he allowed to do that? And he said that if he was going to come here and take it away from them, and the white man didn't see the Native American as his brother. He saw him as an enemy that was in the way of what he wanted to do. He saw himself with a written destiny to rule the earth. Now that he was over 5,000 years old as a people, he had become a kind of old man. And it was his destiny to rule black people all over the earth. And whoever didn't submit to him, he, as his, in his mind, he had a right to force them. He was told, go forth conquering. He went forth conquering and to conquer. And this was all written. He was told to go and subdue the earth. When you subdue, you overpower, you take by force. You see, that's one of the meanings of subdue. And which you notice when you look at that, it means to put under. And it also is that term sub is the root word, the root of subjugate. And so, once he took possession of this, then out of all of that bloodshed and whatnot, you saw a civilization spring up that came off when he came to America, he came by boat. And so this book says, I beheld a third beast come up out of the water. And he had iron teeth and the ribs of a man in his mouth, that kind of thing. And in the holds of them ships, locked in iron chains, was the seed of Abraham in the belly, in the mouth of that, a hole of that ship. And they built up a civilization unlike any civilizations that had ever been. And so the messenger, he took note of that, and he reminded me and you He said, I don't hate the Indian. He said, no, I love the Indian. I don't hate them for their loss. He said, I love the Indian. He said, but he was not smart enough to keep his home. So a stranger who was smarter, he let a stranger come in and take it from him. Because that's just natural. He was called a beast. The reason he's called a beast, and he wasn't the only one called beast. The book says there was a lamb born in the midst of 4 beasts. That covers all the races there. Black, brown, yellow, and white. When it comes to the word of God, proof that everybody is on the level of a beast, look, you have not been able to decipher what the men were talking about. You all are going around here committing murder and saying that you got that from the prophets. And no prophet teach you to go murder nobody. When he said cut off the hand of a thief, you chopping a man's physical hand off because you don't understand the Holy Bible or the Holy Quran any more than you can put a book that even if it's a elementary reader, C. Dick, C. Jane, C. Spot Run. That you can put it in front of that dog and tell him read this. That dog can't read that book because he's a dumb beast. And so, likewise, compared to the messengers of God, we have all been living life on the level of the beast. So, it's time that you know the truth. And so the messenger said if they was going to come here and take it away from them and build up a great country like this, I'd say he should have came here a long time before he did come. And so that was given credit where credit was due. He said, one thing I can bear witness with the white man, and the Native Americans can too. They wasn't doing nothing with this country but hunting and fishing and living the same lifestyle. No cities, no, just little villages in tents and that kind of thing. And Allah meant for this earth and its resources to be used for something greater. This earth is just the first planet that we terraform, and there's plenty more of them out there just waiting on us to grow up. You may think that a billion years is a long time. Well, you dealing with the God who considers 1,000 years as no more than a day. And in another place, he considers 50,000 years no more than a day. And if you deal with it like that, what is a billion years? A week? What? You in a trillion years, that's not nothing compared to eternity. How big is big if the universe is infinite? And as far as we know, the universe is infinite. We haven't ran into and ain't spotted no wall out there yet. I don't care what way we look. We die because we don't know how not to. It's not because we have to. It's because we don't know how not to. Oh, we don't live with each other in peace because up until now, we had no understanding of the instructions that would guide us to living in peace, of peace. Gave us instructions, but he left those instructions locked up until the instructor that he said he was going to make or create, he said, I'm going to create a mortal. You know, even in this world, you say all of the time, you say, man, any problem that is made by man, man can solve. Well, the Holy Quran agrees with that basically, because it says that the evil that comes to man is from himself. Then the Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge of how not to be destroyed. We destroy ourselves. Look at what you know, man, you know the detrimental effects of alcohol. You know that too much consumption of alcohol will make the best of friends sometimes become the worst of enemies while they are under the influence. Is that right? Then why did you legalize alcohol? Because you love money more than you love your brother. And then you blame, you know, well, I didn't make him drink it. He shouldn't have drunk so much. Anything to justify your love of money. But I'm not going to go there with you. I'm just trying to make you understand that I understand the world that I live in. You can't make judgments about things that you don't understand. So lots of times I take up time to talk to you to make you understand that I understand a lot more than you think I do. And that's because Allah have raised me and put understanding in me. He said, I will make him of a quick understanding. You know what that means, a quick understanding? It don't just mean fast. It means understanding that's steadily growing, like quicksand. They call it quicksand because you step in it, it moves out from under you and it'll drown you. Do you understand? Okay. Anything that's quickened, it's set in motion. Hence the term quicksand. Anytime you step on it, you set it in motion. It quickens, right? So, I want you to know that I'm not up here to belittle anyone. But I am here to show you how little you know in comparison to how much there is to be known. So I want to say, this a young man asked me the question. Just a moment. Let me make sure that I get the question. So I'll go back and find it. I think this is it. Let's see.
Assalamu alaikum, son of man. This is Brother Suleiman, and I was trying to call in to ask a question, but the conference was locked. If you can answer the question next class, I was trying to ask, like, what did you mean by black people being the first and the last of the races?
Okay, he wanted to know what did I mean when I said black people are the first and the last of the races. What I was saying is that the only man on this earth that did not have a father, that did not come from sperm and an ovum coming together, but he was actually the first man that formed himself out of the earth. That is the black man. That is us. And all other people, they came from our semen. And they are Semitic. The only people that are not Semitic on this earth is the black man, the black nation. We are original Asiatic black original people. We are earth people. We are people who came out of the earth and not out of other people. And I welcome any of the scientific community to come in and discuss that with me if you like. I will be more than happy to have a back and forth with you about it. So we are the first, and we are the beginning of the races of people. They all came from us. And we were the first new people on the earth. And we are the last new people on the earth. The so-called American Negro is a black man, yes, but we are a new black man. And we can't take you any further back than approximately 400 years. We couldn't go back any further than that, as we had Negro history. We didn't know no other history. So naturally, we could not repeat the history of our fathers whose seed we are, because we have no memory of that. And so, you know, we are the last new man. And the reason for that was because God told Abraham that in his seed, all the other nations of the earth would be blessed. That's why the internet now, and I'm sharing with you the word of Allah. Blessed are they that do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled when the Son of Man comes. When that man that I said I was going to create from sounding clay of black mud fashioned into shape, when that man comes, they will be filled. And that's me. And there won't be no more curse. And there will be no more hatred between man and his brother, his family. I can't call none of you father. The black man is the father. So we don't call other people father. The devil made a religion up and have you calling him father because he the father of that false religion. He didn't make the Bible up. He covered up the truth with his giving you the wrong understanding of what you were reading. But God never made a religion called Christianity. That was made up by white people. That's why he called the Pope and all of the priests and whatnot, everybody that go into their church, they call them father. Because of that religion, they are the father. But He, even by setting that up, if you had really understood it, you would have turned it down, because didn't Jesus tell you, call no man on earth father? Well, what? What you doing calling a man father in religion? Yeah, you of your father the devil. That's what Jesus said. And so, and now I'm not telling you to throw your Bible away now. The Bible is correct. But the understanding that the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church and the Baptist Church and the Methodist Church and the Church of Latter-day Saints and the church, I don't care what church you get, the understanding that they're teaching you is wrong. And there has been famine. And by now, you have some people who just don't believe in religion at all, and they are closer to the truth than you who claim to believe in religion. The ones who are sincere in that. When you find a man who is a sincere atheist, when I say a sincere atheist, he and I use that term very loosely. When you find one that is sincere, he does not waste his time or spend his time insulting religious people or people who believe in religion. He spends his time questioning you for proof, because he's probably searching harder than the ones who think they already got it. I'm pretty sure that most of those who truly are disenfranchised with religion, that say, okay, well then I guess I'm an atheist. Some say I'm an agnostic. But if he's that, what he's actually saying is, so far, he has not found anything that makes any sense to him. And I can relate to that. Because, you know, before I heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I had pretty much given up on religion and all of that. I hadn't gave up on believing in doing right. I just gave up on going in there watching people all week and then get up in church on Sunday and all of a sudden the Holy Ghost done hit them. And then when we get back in the week, they still cursing just like me. They still drinking beer and smoking just like me. Then every Sunday, they up there dancing around talking about the Holy Ghost. So to me, it was nothing. It didn't make sense. I couldn't do that. So I want you to know that I really want to help people. You know, when you've been mistreated, if you really did more than just felt sorry for yourself in that mistreatment, then being mistreated can be a boon to you. I guess that's the right word. Because it makes you, when you can feel the mistreatment, then it makes you able to empathize with others who you may see suffering that same thing. And it may make you see, as you study the one who mistreats you, you come to the conclusion that that person in your eyes is detestable or deplorable. then it helps you to never want to look like that person in the eyes of other people. And so rather than take the attitude of a child, even when if and when the tables are turned, you don't say, well, they did it to me, so I'm going to do it to them. You say, I'm better than that. And I will not do to other people. You didn't convert me to be like you. I'll never be like you. Not consciously. I will not only try to be better than that which I saw you display, for that's all the body does. It displays what the mind is thinking. And so I will try never to be like you in the displaying of action that makes people feel that I'm a repulsive being. And so the authority has been taken from you now. You know, all of the wicked, their authority has been taken. They just, now you are witnessing the fallout from that. I want to say, you hear Congress people right now, you know what their argument is now for supporting Republicans in the Senate and in the House of Representatives? They tell the other people that they, most of the people who are supporting Donald Trump, other than those who are Nazis and or wannabe Nazis and racists and the Ku Klux Klan, people like David Duke and all of that, pretend that they believe in white supremacy. You saw a good example of that when you know how you can tell when someone truly, if he truly was a lover of white people, then all white people would be safe from his hands. They talk that talk, pretend that they love their people, but they don't. You know, let me tell you something about love. Love and hate cannot occupy you at the same time. If you were really filled with love for white people, you couldn't mistreat anybody. You'd be too in love with your people. You'd be too busy doing what you think is in the best interest of your people. Just like me. You don't find I defy you to find somebody that I've been around here and you're outside of black people or even in black people. I defy you to find somebody that can honestly claim that I have mistreated them. You know, there's a law I think, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you would call it an axiom, but in physics, they say no two objects may occupy the exact same space at the exact same time. It is not possible. Do you have two hearts in you or one? So the scripture says, you cannot serve God and mammon. It says, no man can serve two minds. He will either love the one and hate the other, or despise the one and cling to the other. But he cannot serve two masters. That's what it is. When it says two masters, it's saying two minds. You can't serve two. It's only one. And a man that says he believes in white supremacy, that is one of those dog whistle type of terms. And it's generally aimed at people who are down on their luck, can't figure out why they are not getting anywhere, and looking everywhere but inside of themselves for something or someone to blame. And so the dog whistler, he says, the reason that this is happening to you is because all of these other people here is stealing from you. And by right, you are supreme or superior to these people. And then he starts giving them some pseudoscience to prove his point. And so anything, just like people a lot of times will be down on their luck and retreat into a bottle of alcohol, or retreat to mainlining some drugs, or doing whatever they can do to kind of take their mind off of the fact that they are at life, they are temporarily a failure. And so, but I want you to know something, just like I pointed out to you before, those civil rights activists that came down south during the time where Black people were being openly murdered and mistreated, and nothing was being done about it. And some Caucasian white people looked at it and said in their hearts that that's just wrong. And they came down here in a place where white people were supposed to be safe. White supremacists were here. And they justified murdering them by calling them traitors and all of that kind of thing. But in reality, if he really loved white people, he just could not have done that to them. How do I know that? I'll tell you how I know it. It's because I've gotten into it with Black people. I remember once I got hit in the head by, while I was tussling with this man. His wife walked up behind me and hit me in the head with a pipe. And I bet you he was about twice my age, which was, which I never should have been into it with him in the first place. And but I was young, and I was new in the nation, and I was going to spread Muhammad speaks to our people, and he wasn't going to tell me I couldn't come in there into those apartment complex and knock on doors and offer people Muhammad speaks. And even though he was the manager over there. And so, I was out of the Marine Corps, and I was quick to fight. So, but anyway, we got into it, and so while I was driving with blood kind of dripping down, it kind of dried up pretty quick, but it was all over me. And while I was driving back to change my clothes and clean up, when I got out the car, some brothers were standing around, and they all ran over there, and they asked me what was wrong. Who did this to you? And I said, I got into it with this fella, and I told him what happened. And he said, where they live? Where they? I said, and I had time to think on the way back. And I said, man, I feel kind of lightheaded. I can't hardly remember where I was. I remembered everything. I knew where I was. But I felt I was wrong. And I didn't want them to be going over there doing nothing to them people. And so I just told them I couldn't remember where it was. And I didn't say no more about it. And so I know that if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put love in my heart for my people. I should say he cultivated that which was dormant in me. Because I never was the kind of person who would join a gang or would just purposely go and hurt somebody, Now, I had my faults. Now, I've picked fights before. I ain't gonna lie. I learned not to do that when my brother broke 3 of my back teeth. And I felt like I got what I deserved on that. There was a lesson in that. And, because I picked the fight. I picked it. There's no sense in lying. I purposely pushed his little brother down when we was playing football or whatnot, and I didn't have to do it. But I was trying to show off. It was some girl involved. But anyway, so he and I got into it, and Allah let him teach me a lesson. And that was when I was in my teens. And, so I know what it is to care. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't just teach me to care about my people. He taught me how to care. You can't just say you love your people. How many people do you know of that will say they will give their life for you and really mean it? People say all kinds of stuff, but I could tell that he meant what he said. I admired him. I admired Jesus. You notice Jesus was going around getting on religious people and fussing them out about how they was mistreating other people. He would tell the scribes and Pharisees, he said, woe to you, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven unto men. You don't go in, and you don't want others who trying to go in to get in. That's why they hated him. And so, I always admired the messengers of God, even when I didn't know that I am the Son of Man. I always admired them. And so I tried my best to make sure that if a black person get hurt, it wasn't going to be because I did it. And then that kind of spills over. If you get used to living your life a certain way, that's one of the things that I've grown to understand why the book says, love your neighbor as yourself. Then I come to find out that my neighbors is myself. If you don't know how to treat your own, that's why Lawrence O'Donnell, when he said that any man that can, like Donald Trump sitting there telling, what's his name? Rod Stern? What? Howard Stern? He told Howard Stern that it was okay for Howard to refer to his daughter Ivanka as a piece of ass. If you don't care anything about how your daughter is perceived, would not be foolish to think you cared something about how mine is perceived? If you don't have a history of helping the poor, but you have a history of offering them jobs, and then when they finish, you figure out a reason not to pay them, knowing that it would cost them more to try to sue you than it would if they just write it off as a loss. Now, if you spent your life, if I spent my life and had a history of not helping, being charitable to people who are less fortunate, why would you trust me to tell you that I'm somehow going to look out for the poor and look out for the needy when I become an old man? When I don't have no history of ever doing that? Why would you believe me? I want you to think. If there's white people listening to me that think that I have some kind of ulterior motive for saying the things that I say, come in here and tell the people and pull the cover off of me. You are right to when you see somebody scamming, or you think someone is trying to run a game on you and your people or whatnot, you ought to stand up and say something. And this is the one time that I won't even cut you off to even ask you a question. I'll let you get it all out. Come in and tell your people why they should not listen to me. Tell the people what my real motive is. No, as I was listening to Grover Norquist in so many occasions when he stood up there and boasted about, let me see if I can find that. He done boasted about so many things. Um, and he had an interview with, I think it was 60 Minutes. Yes. I think this is it here. Let's see. Well, just a minute. Sometimes you open it up with the deal and it won't play on let me try it in a different player.
Joint Congressional Committee on Deficit Reduction has just 3 days to reach a deal eliminating at least $1.2 trillion from the nation's debt, using some combination of cutting spending and raising taxes. The person at the heart of those negotiations, and some would say the person responsible for the deadlock, is neither a member of Congress nor the holder of any public office. He's a lobbyist and a conservative activist named Grover Norquist, who over the years has gotten virtually every Republican congressman and senator to sign an oath called the Pledge. It's a promise that they will never, under any circumstances, vote to raise taxes on anyone. And so far, Grover Norquist has held them to it, controlling 279 votes, the Speaker of the House, the Senate Minority Leader, and all 6 Republican members of the Joint Committee on Deficit Reduction.
A lot of people think you're the most powerful man in Washington. The tax issue is the most powerful issue in American politics going back to the Tea Party. People say, oh, Grover Norquist has power. No, Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform focus on the tax issue. The tax issue is a powerful issue.
Grover Norquist is trying to be modest. Since creating Americans for Tax Reform at Ronald Reagan's behest back in 1985, Norquist has been responsible more than anyone else for rewriting the dogma of the Republican Party.
The Republicans won't raise your taxes. We haven't had a Republican vote for an income tax increase since 1990.
And this was your doing.
I helped. Yeah.
It began with a simple idea of getting Republicans all over the country to sign an oath called the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, promising their constituents that they would never, ever vote for anything that would make their taxes go up.
Speaker Gingrich's tax pledge back in 1998.
And once they sign the pledge, Grover Norquist never forgets. The more signatures he's collected, the more his influence has grown.
I think to win a Republican primary, it is difficult to imagine somebody winning a primary without taking the pledge.
The signatories not only include more than 270 members of Congress, but all of the Republican presidential candidates, with the lone exception of John Huntsman.
Okay, folks, we want to get going?
All that leverage has made Norquist's Wednesday breakfast meetings a must-attend event for Republican operatives fortunate enough to get an invitation.
Now, you look at that room full of people there, and when you look at that room of people, you discover something without having to be told if you are observant. You discover that these people don't really work for you. They work for the people who control Grover Norquist. And they have, you didn't even know about, how many of you all knew about that pledge before Grover Norquist came out there and said something about it? With just one or two of y'all that knew about the pledge before you heard that 60-minute interview, did you know that people was signing a pledge to Grover Norquist and them before they came out and tried to get into Congress, to the Congress of the United States? Did you know that was going on? I definitely was, I know it's a whole lot of things that me as a black man wouldn't know, but I'm talking to white people. Can we talk? Did you know about that? How can I trust a man that comes out and here I'm thinking that I'm electing somebody that's going to go in there and represent me? Because I'm going to tell you something, the majority of the American people, they're used to, and the American people didn't, the majority of them don't have no problem with the income tax. They pay the income tax, and it's almost like money in the bank for some of them. They say, well, I'm waiting on my tax return. What is that? If they hadn't paid no income tax, they wouldn't be expecting no income tax return, would they? Okay. So, but who is it that does not want to pay any taxes? The wealthy people who, and let me make that clear now. The wealthy people who put Grover Norquist, who backs up Grover Norquist and got him out there doing their bidding. Do you understand? Now, why don't they want to pay income taxes? Is it because they're selfish? Not really. The millions, if they're making billions of dollars, then millions of dollars in taxes is not really bothering them. That money could be better spent. That's what they think. That's what they're, that is said without being said. That money can be better spent paying politicians that sign their pledge, guaranteeing them that they'll be a millionaire when they come out of Congress or whatever. And a lot of them signed off on it. And then they say, look, the money that they would have been paying income tax, if they don't raise taxes, then that money can be spent in ads and whatnot for for political candidates. And then they can even write that off as donations and whatnot to, they got the tax laws. They done got their boys in there to write tax laws. They give them credit for certain things, other things where they don't have to pay taxes on that they would have been having to pay. Excuse me. So they've been basically gradually buying America's government. And you know, you need to understand why you have people. See, the American people are not all fools. I really don't believe the American people think Donald Trump is fit to represent America. And the majority of the American people just don't believe that. So now a lot of the people that's in the House of Representatives and the Senate that are Republicans, they want to, at least that are saying they are Republicans, they want to now say, well, even though you may not want Donald Trump, you should let me stay in here so that I will be a check in the check and balance system of Hillary Clinton. We won't give her no blank check. And that's the same thing they used on President Obama, right? And remember something. If you sick and tired of the way things that have been being done in Washington, then you just saw an obstructionist House of Representatives and Senate. You looking at an obstructionist Senate right now. They have brought the normal function of the American system of government, they have brought it into an appearance of chaos. The president nominates a Supreme Court justice, and they start talking about things that you've never heard. The type of rhetoric that you hear people talking about now. They were willing and are willing to leave the Supreme Court vacant, a vacancy on the Supreme Court for over a year. When a nominee has been nominated, the president has did his job. They refuse to do theirs. And they tell you, keep us in here and we'll keep doing stuff like this. When they ain't really doing what the American people want done, they doing what their handlers want done. Their handlers done told them. It's just like if they get a person, I guarantee you that the people that they trying to put in office, they secretly done selected them to put them out there to be controlled. When they get in there to do the bidding of people who you don't know nothing about. But you see, it's all falling apart on them. They still haven't figured out that they're messing with something that they have no idea that God is behind. You know, as I told you, you're going to go to the doctor one day and all your money not going to be able to undo what's being done inside of your body. You watch what I tell you. You purposely trying to make the American people distrust their own government. They come out and, I mean, you talk about Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio pretend that he cares so much about America, right? Chris Christie done been caught in his lies. He came to care so much about America, right? But when it push came to shove and they had to make a choice between the best interests of America and what their party wanted done, who won? They chose party, didn't they? Ted Cruz did too. He started off saying, I'm not going to support this man. They even went to the Republican convention and told them, you don't, you vote your conscience. And the next thing you know, he out there telling people to support Donald Trump. Why? What changed? Nothing really changed. God just made him come out there and show who his true allegiance was to. His true allegiance is to those who Grover Norquist represents. How many times have I stood up here and asked you who support Donald Trump to come in and tell me why we should support him? I will listen. You can ask me why I think we should support Hillary Clinton. I'll tell you. I mean, it's a two-way street. Then you can question me. It's just like, you notice the Trump campaign said there's something mighty fishy about these tapes coming out right now. Right? Ain't that what they've been saying? About them tapes with him talking like that on the bus? And they've been had these tapes all that time, right? And they say something ain't right there. But they had planned on bringing out stolen emails of private posts or whatnot from Miss Clinton. And they was planning it just like they're doing right now, releasing them, trying to affect the outcome of the presidential election in November. And the thing is, all you got is a bunch of emails that somebody may or may not have sent, because you don't know what, you can doctor emails. But that tape, you haven't heard Donald Trump say that wasn't me. That wasn't me. Somebody trying to sound like me or whatever. I mean, got him on tape. That was him. The Holy Quran has a saying. It says, vehement hatred have already appeared out of their mouths, and what their hearts conceal is even worse. Did you hear the stuff that came out of Donald Trump's mouth to Billy Bush? What do you suppose is that his heart, and him telling Howard Stern that it's okay to refer to Ivanka, his daughter, as a piece of ass? Can you imagine what's in his heart that you ain't heard? Some of the people that work with him have as good as said that, you know, if you think that was something, that ain't nothing compared to what we done heard him say, but they can't talk about it. Why would he want people to have a non-disclosure agreement about what he says? I ain't never heard of no such thing. But he has. But you know, I don't know how you get a non-disclosure agreement when you know people are doing things that's actually against the law. You make a promise not to tell this. You can't be held to nothing like that. But anyway, let's get back to Grover Norquist thing. All these who's that's in the Congress, their main loyalty was to the pledge they made to Grover Norquist, not the pledge they took to uphold the Constitution and to do the job that they was voted they have to do. Their first pledge was to Grover Norquist now. I mean, we didn't know nothing about that. Just look now.
David Keene, the president of the National Rifle Association, was there the day we attended, along with conservative columnist John Fund.
This is the Grand Central Station of the conservative movement.
We were told it was the first members who have ever been allowed into the weekly off-the-record strategy session.
Our approach is going to be to just simply drill away every day.
People from Capitol Hill, House and Senate, think tanks, Tea Party groups, business groups, everybody who wants the government to be smaller and everybody who wants the government to leave them alone. I intend to win. I intend to be part of the whole effort to crush the other team.
Grover Norquist has been called both the dark wizard of the right's anti-tax cult and the...
Everybody who wants the government to be smaller and everybody who wants the government to leave them alone. Who is these people that want the government to leave them alone? Are you aware of what he's actually saying to you? I think Abraham Lincoln summed it up in his words that the government of, for, and by the people shall not perish from the earth. He's not going to say, I want the government of the people to leave us alone. Huh? Look what has happened to the FDA. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, was set up by the government that was looking out for the best interests of the people. What happened? The pledge. And you started getting people in there that started saying the FDA was getting in the way, and now the FDA is pretty much just a figurehead. I'll give you a good example. They put stuff in food. They make a whole bunch of money off of it. They ruin the health of the American people, which is wonderful for the pharmaceutical industry. Then they say, well, trans fat has been found to be harmful to people. We can't put that in there. Well, the damage has been done. If you want to take the country back, that's good. You should want to take your country back. But you should know who you need to take it back from. Here you got a man standing up openly telling you he wants to reduce your government in size, which means a lot of the things that were set up. They was even talking about privatizing Social Security. You really want private individuals? You want to entrust your future, not to the government that you elected, but to private individuals that you don't know what these people are doing. Look what they did purposely or tried to do to the Affordable Care Act. They keep referring it to, you notice they don't call it the Affordable Care Act, they call it Obamacare. Because they've made you hate President. It didn't take much to make you hate Obama. He black. So you was already leaning that way anyway. But if they call it what it is, the Affordable Care Act, it sounds strange to say we're going to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And just keep on saying that. That sounds kind of strange. Why do you want to appeal affordable care? So they give it the name that they can keep saying they want to repeal it, and you say, okay, yeah, Obama, Anything Obama, repeal it. When the government, the governor of Louisiana, he ain't that no more. People woke up, and now they're benefiting from the Affordable Care Act in Louisiana because they got a governor there that got some sense. You think I would sit back and watch my family, people suffer for health care simply because a white man is the one offering it? I ain't never been that stupid. For some kind of political maneuvering, I'm going to put thousands of people, put their lives in danger when funds was available to go on and give health care to all of those who were in need. And I'm going to try to block that to make a political point. You know, anytime a man, and you know, there's just good business sense here. If you're in business, what is the major reason why you are in business? Huh? Speak up. Yeah, to make a profit, yeah. But what keeps you in business? It is your customer base. If you don't have any customers, you don't have any business. Is that right? If you have an army, what makes your army? Soldiers, people. If you have a factory, what makes your workers? You ain't gonna completely automate it yet. You need people. Is that right? You want a sick army? Do you want sickly people defending your country? Do you want sickly people working in your factory? Do you want your customers to be too sick to come and patronize your store? You'd rather them spend all their money on health care, huh? Well, what do you think you're saying when you say you want to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act? You know, look, I promise you, if you come in here and have a discussion with me, I don't like doing one-sided discussions. I mean, maybe it's something that I don't see. I would like you to show it to me and show it to the people, the people that's listening to me. Show me why you're so dead set on repealing the Affordable Health Care Act. Why do you not want people to get good health care without going into bankruptcy? Well, why? You ought to be ashamed of yourselves, all of you. You don't have any shame, do you? Too busy thinking about your bank account and how much people like Grover Norquist and the people that he represents gonna put in there. So your whatever little conscience you may have been burned out by the desire for money. You know what they call somebody who do anything for money? They call them a prostitute. You're not no patriot. The only thing that prostitute and patriot got in common is that they both start with the letter P. Well, look at this.
Single most effective conservative activist in the country. He is a libertarian ideologue who believes that Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government. And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in the bathtub. And then it could worry about what we're up to.
And you did say that your ultimate ambition was to chop it in half and then shrink it again
in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in the bathtub. And then it could worry about what we're up to.
And you did say that you're
worry about what we're up to.
And you did
worry about what we're up to.
And you
worry about what we're up to.
And you did
worry about what we're up to.
And you did say that your ultimate ambition was to chop it.
If he says he wants it down to the size that it could fit in a bathtub, then it could worry about what we're up to. In other words, he does not want any government. Am I missing something? So is that's your thing? You don't think government is a good thing? Well, if government is not a good thing, I guess that's why it's okay for Donald Trump to say ban Muslims, do torture. Well, the hell with the Constitution, huh? That's. I mean, the government of the United States is the Constitution. Of course, that document cannot enforce itself. And an ignorant man cannot enforce it either. Because an ignorant man can be told that Jesus walking on the water, that means he got out there and walked on the ocean. In the middle of a storm, he was out there walking on the ocean. Even though the scripture does not say that's how we walk. Jesus called the word water. He called it living water. And the scripture says we walk by faith. By faith in what? By faith in the water. In the word. We walk on that word. Haven't you ever said something and said, I will stand on that? How can you stand on a word? That means you think that word that you said is able to uphold you, to hold you up. Is that right? Well, when Jesus walked on the water, he walked on faith. as all of the prophets did. We walk by faith, not by sight. You can't see the water that I'm walking on, but I have faith in the water that I'm walking on. We walk by faith and not by sight. And this man, he wants to get out and tell you, he done stood up in front of the American people on 60 Minutes and told the American people to control their government, so that the real government would have to wonder what they're up to. You know, this is the government of the people, by the people, and for what? For the people, right? So the people of America is the government of America. They are your neighbors and your friends and people that you know and whatnot. Now you got a whole bunch of people up there that even though you thought you knew them, you don't know them people. They get in office, and when you tell them what you want them to do, just like that debt ceiling thing, when the majority of the people told them to go on and pay the debt, raise the debt ceiling and pay the debt. You don't let America's credit default. They told you, oh, the American people don't want this. But they telling the American people that the American people don't want this. I mean, we supposed to be stupid. The American people elected. Did anybody say that the election of President Obama was a fraud? Okay. How did he get elected? By what? By the majority of the people. Then when he asked Congress to go on and raise the debt ceiling so we can pay the bills that you made, what did they mean the majority of the people didn't want that? I could tell you what some of the underlying thing is. But the truth of the matter is, even the majority of white people didn't want to see the American credit rating. They didn't want to see America's credit rating fall. So they was lying even when they had that silent thing about, well, we talking about white people. No, the majority of white people did not want to see you put America in default on its debt. No, they did not. But the people that they truly represent didn't care. The people that they represent want to do away with the government of America. How in the world? Who controls the military of America? The government. Well, how can you say you want a strong military but a weak government? If you want a weak government, you want a weak military, because the military is the enforcement arm of the government. You just don't understand people standing up in front of you telling you to go to hell and you just smiling. It's just like when Donald Trump was getting all of them in the what you call the primaries. when the polls were showing that he was winning here and winning there, he wasn't saying that the news is reporting false polls. He said, I'm ahead in all the polls. Look, look, look. Isn't that what he did? Every time he'd come out, we're winning, we're winning. All the polls show that we're winning. He even accuses the press of ganging up on him. Isn't he the one that said all press is good press? Now, when all of these things, when he creates news, he wants the press to say, well, if it's bad, let's not talk about it for Donald. He wants the press to report the good stuff that happens, the large crowds coming to his rallies and that kind of thing. But anything bad, they should not report that. And if they report that, they're ganging up on him. Huh? And I'll tell you something else that you should notice too. Now, these women that have evidence that out of Donald Trump's own mouth, he said he does these things to women. Right? Then some of the women come out and start telling that yes, he did. He did that to me. And by his own admission, he did those things. And we saw him exercise a little of that power that he said he had when they got off the bus and Billy Bush said, give the Donald a hug. What did the woman do? She gave him a hug. And he said words to the effect, paraphrasing, what about me? And she gave him one too, didn't she? Then they walking with the woman just out of the blue. Which one of us would you date? Huh? I mean, showing, what'd he say? Star power, huh? Okay. So we know that he was not joking, right? Okay. He even asked for some Tic Tacs, didn't he? Okay, now let's fast forward now. Matter of fact, let's reverse it now. Now go back to Dr. Cosby. Did you ever hear Dr. Cosby confessing to drugging and raping women? Did you? And when those things, if you go back and listen to Hannibal Buress, didn't Hannibal Buress make the joke about Bill Cosby raping women? Huh? Then why is it that a red flag didn't go up for you that's listening when it changed from rape to assault? I mean, when it dawned on them that they had concocted the wrong lie, they just changed the lie. See, because rape can be proven. Drugging people can be proven. They didn't change the drugging part. But yet nobody out of all them women, nobody went and got a drug test. Is that right? Now, all of them were so willing to come out there. And you found out some of them was prostitutes. One of them was a lawyer who had defrauded her clients out of stuff. Shaky people, shady people. One lady, she forgot what lie she told and said she woke up and she was fully clothed. And in another interview, she told somebody else that she woke up naked. Right? Okay. Still, no outcry from you. But lynch that nigga. But now, these women that accuse Donald Trump, when some of the news media tried to get them to come out there and parade it around, they said, that's not what I did this for. No, I don't want to be out here in the public. I'll be glad when this stuff go away. But they said I came out here to tell you that he did do what he was talking about there. But they ain't on no front of no cover posing and all that kind of stuff. Because they telling the truth. And it's not something that you flaunt in the media, but it's something that they finally got a chance to get off of their chest. And they told it. Now he talking about he gonna sue them when it's over with. He gonna put Miss Clinton in jail when it's over with and all this old kind of stuff. And then you still out there talking about you want to put that man at the head of the United States of America. How do you justify that? Listen to this.
Half and then shrink it again to where we were at the turn of the century. You're talking about 1900, not 2000.
Well, I think
8% of GDP.
Yeah, we function in this country with government at 8% of GDP for a long time and quite well.
That was before Social Security. It was before Medicare. It was before welfare assistance, unemployment assistance. Is that the federal government you envision?
Each of these government programs was set up supposedly, in name, to solve a problem. Okay, do they solve the problem? Could the problem be better solved through individual initiative? I mean, I think we found under welfare.
The problem was created under individual initiative. There was no FDIC when them banks folded in the 20s. Individual initiative is what was going on. And they saw that that's not enough. Individual initiative, yes, people took risks. Whenever a bank loans money, they are taking a risk. There's a risk in loaning people money. When people put their savings in banks, they don't know that, they didn't know that what the risk portion of it was. I mean, people know banks take your money and they, you loan money, the bank loan you some money, they charge you some interest, and that's how they make money. The people hadn't really thought about the fact that the bank is not loaning money that belongs to them. They loaning money that belongs to you who put the money in there. When you default on that money, if people, when people start defaulting on loans, like they were doing when the bottom fell out of the stock market and people was losing their jobs and stuff and couldn't pay their mortgage notes and stuff, then the banks wasn't getting that money back that you had put in there, and there was no depositor's insurance. Then whoever got to the bank first and drew their money out, well, pretty soon the bank didn't have no more money to give out, so you lost your money. Huh? Grover Norquist said that's what, that the Federal Depositors Insurance Company or Corporation, I don't know which it is, Federal Depositors Insurance Corporation, they now, that was set up by the government to keep that from happening again, while people take individual initiative, which is good. The government decided to do like you see people do in the circus. Man doing a dangerous stunt, walking on a wire. He said, we're going to put a safety net up under you. Huh? It's more fun watching him walking without a safety net, ain't it? But that's because people say, oh, he's a daredevil. And but I would much rather see him walking with a safety net. Because if he thinks enough of us to try to entertain us like that, I think enough of him to want him to live through that entertainment. But anyway, if nothing else, this is how it should be done. There should be cameras or whatnot on the man. And I know they can do it. It should be a net on the floor. And just let it be on the floor with strings to it, or ropes to it, I should say. And if that man falls off of that net, then it should trigger a mechanism to make that, if he falls off of that wire, it should be a net or some kind of trigger to make that net come up and break his fall. Do you understand? But then I guess people don't get no joy out of that. But anyway, I want you to understand something. The day to live a life of danger and bloodshed and waking up, no peace, nowhere. My coming to you signals the end of that. You know, I mean, I don't know Grover Norquist personally, and I don't know none of the people that he represents. All I know is what I heard from him. And I'm sharing that with you. Do you really want your government to go back? I mean, even the interviewer couldn't believe what he was hearing. You honestly think that you want to go back to the government being the way it was during that time, which made it manifest that the self-initiative and everything is good? Certainly you want people to have self-initiative, to get up and go. But you also, the people should be wise enough to learn from past experiences. So you want to put it right back to where it was. What if it had not been no safety nets and stuff in place in 2008? When the bottom fell out of everything. Do you know how much America has grown since the 20s? Don't you know that as the body grows, I tell you what you do, you look at a baby's head. If you measure the size of a baby's head, you can put the average grown person's baseball cap, if you put it on the head of that baby, it covers his whole face and everything. His head grows in proportion to his body. Grover Norquist wants to shrink the head of America. What he's actually saying is he wants to chop the head off and replace it with a snake's head. And that's basically what they have done. Because those who make the laws, all a president can do is enforce law. He can't make law. Congress makes law. But a good president knows that his job is also to protect the Constitution and the American people. Because there was at one time laws that were unconstitutional, and the president ordered the federal troops to go down and make sure that people's constitutional rights were upheld, regardless of what somebody had did in a state law. Huh? The Constitution is not for part of the people of America, it's for all of the people of America. And there is no state constitution or state law that supersedes the Constitution. The Constitution is of the United States. A constitution of a particular state is of that state as long as it don't conflict with the United States Constitution. Just like the Holy Bible says, the words of the prophets are subject to the prophets. One prophet can't say something that contradicts another one. If I come here claiming to be the one that the prophets told you was coming, then how in the world can I come here claiming to be the one that they said was coming and then contradict them? If you find me contradicting Jesus, if you find me contradicting Moses, if you find me contradicting Muhammad, if you find me contradicting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then I ain't what I claim to be. I have to agree with all of them. State constitutions must agree with the United States Constitution. And state laws have to agree and not contradict the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Now I want you to keep looking.
That we are doing more harm than good.
Do you feel the government has any obligation to the poor? It was before Social Security, it was before Medicare, it was before welfare assistance, unemployment assistance. Is that the federal government you envision?
Each of these government programs was set up supposedly, in name, to solve a problem. Okay, do they solve the problem? Could the problem be better solved through individual initiative? I mean, I think we found under welfare that we were doing more harm than good.
Do you feel the government has any obligation to?
Where's his proof of that? Under the welfare system that he was doing more harm than good. The only harm that the welfare system did was in the way they designed it, it ran fathers out of the homes and broke up the family unit. If it had really been put there to really serve as a safety net, then it would have done no harm. You know, when you have, it's just like right now, you know why you have to raise the minimum wage? Because people are working 40 hours a week and still living in poverty. You can't on the one hand tell the man that he's, tell your people that if they work hard and play by the rules, that they will be all right. And then they work hard and play by the rules and go from one generation to the next in poverty. I'll tell you what should have been done by the welfare system. This is what you could do by the welfare system. Give those people who are not making what is necessary while they are working, supplement their income. You could have done that to make sure that on top of what they're getting from their employer, whatever level that they need to be on, then you could have gave them subsidy for that. That's the way welfare should have worked. It would have been much better. That after that would have made people not only want to go and get a job, but they would have wanted to keep that job in order to keep that income. And before you know it, once their salaries go to going up and whatnot, then as their salaries go up, then you could decrease that payment, that welfare, until they are able to make it on their own. And they could make that agreement with you as they work. Before they even get started, they could understand that this is what will happen. This will be with you until you get a raise and work your way into a raise. And when you don't need it no more, then someone else can get that, and you on your way. Your training wheels will be taken off of, and then you on your way. You know, if you're in the habit of getting up, going to work, pretty soon you do it without thinking. And you don't want to be without a job anymore. And isn't that really what we want? We want people to be in the habit of working. Okay, now you get back here and listen to this man here.
To the poor, or the elderly, or the unemployed?
Yeah, it should stop stepping on them, kicking them, and making their lives more difficult.
Norquist claims he got the idea to brand the...
What's the problem? You all pardon us a moment.
Better solved through individual initiative. I mean, I think we found under welfare that we were doing more harm than good.
Do you feel the government has any obligation to the poor, or the elderly, or the unemployed?
Yeah, it should stop stepping on them, kicking them, and making their lives more difficult.
Norquist...
That was a non-answer. For the anytime, you know what the scripture says about those who have in relationship to those who have not? It says, the strong must bear the infirmities of the weak. You know, that's the one principle of that America exemplifies when you hear about a catastrophe somewhere, just like when Haiti had that earthquake. Excuse me. And the singers and the people, the entertainers and whatnot, They raised millions of dollars and gave it to somebody for Haiti. It wasn't the American people whose hearts didn't go out to those who were less fortunate. It was some of the crooks who was in charge of making sure that the money got there, that the aid got there. That's why the Bible talks about the cockatrice, because the majority of the people on the earth, they would share what they have. They're not unfeeling. But the people who are in charge are full of greed and selfishness and unfit to be over them, because the only one they care about is themselves. And one of the reasons why they are compared to a serpent or a snake is because at some point in time, the snake sheds his skin and leaves it and have him some new skin that he start all over again. That's the way they have done from generation to generation. They keep their little circle and they pass their wicked mind from fathers to sons and daughters. And they once the father or the daddy, once he shed that skin, once that mind done shedded that body, it takes up, it's already been taken up into the others, into his children, and they continue in their father's footsteps, doing the same unjust things that their fathers did. And that's what kept slavery in America, on this continent for the past 400 and some odd years. And you see this man, he's walking around here. People had never heard of a Grover Norquist, and he was around here collecting signatures and promising people that we thought was representatives of the people in the House of Representatives. They there represented Grover Norquist and his little private group, and he invited them to be part of the private club that you and I knew nothing about. But God made them come out and tell on themselves. Just listen.
This claims he got the idea to brand the Republican Party as the party that would never raise your taxes when he was just 12 years old and volunteering for the Nixon campaign. He says it came to him one day while he was riding the school bus.
If the parties would brand themselves the way Coke and Pepsi and other products do, so that you knew what you were buying at quality control. I vote for the Republican, he or she will not raise my taxes. I'll buy one. I'll take that one home. So this is about marketing. Yes, it's a part of that. Yeah, very much so.
But Norquist says the success of any product requires relentless monitoring and diligent quality control to protect the brand, whether it's Coca-Cola or the Republican Party.
Because let's say you take that Coke bottle home, and you get home and you're 2/3 of the way through the Coke bottle, and you look down at what's left in your Coke bottle is your rat head there. You wonder whether you buy Coke ever again. You go on TV and you show them the rat head in the Coke bottle, you call your friends and tell them about it, and Coke's in trouble. Republicans who vote for a tax increase are rat heads in a Coke bottle. They damage the brand for everyone else. There's nothing in the federal...
Grover Norquist is not interested in compromise. He likes things ugly and takes no prisoners. Those who refuse to sign the pledge or backslide are subjected to primary fights against well-funded opponents backed by Norquist.
These are people in North Carolina who voted for a tax increase when they said they wouldn't. And down here in blue is which ones were defeated in the next election.
Is there any set of circumstances in which you would condone a tax increase or release people from the pledge?
The pledge is not to me, it's to the voters. So an elected official who says, I think I want to break my pledge, you don't look at me and say that.
Now, did you hear that lie? Did the voters establish that pledge? Did the voters establish that pledge? No. The voters didn't know nothing about the pledge. The voters thought they were electing people to go into Congress and do the job of making sure that whatever America needed as a whole, whether it's infrastructure or whatever, the American people are not basically selfish people. America is not a selfish nation. And I'll tell you something else. American people are more concerned about quality, not cost. And American people don't think anything is too good for them. When you can show the American people that their money is well spent, that's all they want. Do you think I'm sitting up angry because we paying property tax and that kind of thing when I know that we live here? The government cannot go in business against you. That's what people do. People go in business. And then they put the people elect a government to watch out for the best interests of all of the country, not just the business community, but of all of the country, to make sure business is done properly and in a way that does not hurt the American people. Here, this man, he represents businessmen, as they call themselves, businessmen, that are only thinking about their own personal best interests, or what they deem to be their own personal best interests. And so they don't mind, they'll move into your state, put an oil pipeline through your waterway. And if it busts, well, we don't live there, so it ain't no big thing. I remember when, a lot of you probably knew that I was talking about, at least to some of the people around here, that when I was talking about one of the former mayors of Fayette, and when he walked into an old building that had been condemned, that we purchased and fixed it back up and made it a beautiful, beautiful place for our people to bring their cars to get them worked on, and they could sit down in a decent place and be treated with respect and dignity. And he came in there when I first opened it. I brought him in there to see it. And he said, this is too good for Fayette. I'm talking about Charles Evers. I was so, it made me sick to my stomach. This man was the mayor. And he never put up, he didn't care to put up beautiful places. I'll grant you some of the apartments that is over there that he put up look pretty nice. But I was surprised for him to say, this is too good for Fed. And so I just went on. And, I think I talked about it when I was on the radio back in the 90s. But anyway, when I remember he was there trying to support putting a nuclear waste dump in Jefferson County. And he done moved to Jackson. But he's some kind of way was lobbying to put a nuclear waste dump in Jefferson County. And when I asked him about that, I said, but that you don't want to bring nothing like he told me they were going to bring jobs and going to bring money here and that kind of stuff. I said, but that's going to kill the people. He said, well, I got to die from something. That's what he said. I was through with him from that point on. And as far as I'm concerned, goodbye and good riddance. Just don't care about the people. So all that talk that he was doing, and the civil rights movement wasn't nothing but a pretend. And I don't like that. It's just like with Minister Farrakhan. I told you how I felt about that. Here you're going to tell me that I should follow a man who is directly contradicting what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whom he claimed he was the national spokesman for. And at one time, he was the national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now he over there trying to convince me and you that we need to go to L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology to get some teaching from them in order to understand our religion better? And you going for that? Well, that's not what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that what he was teaching, Islam, is the perfect civilized teaching. It don't need nothing added to it. Don't need to go no place to look for nothing. It is complete. Allah said it's complete. He said, this day have I completed my favor to you and chosen for you Islam as a religion, not Islam after you come over there to L. Ron Hubbard and let him teach you. I welcome, and you remember the time I had the lady, one of the representatives for Scientology in here, and when I started questioning her, she got upset with me and said that I didn't come in here for this. I didn't. What you mean you didn't come in here for this? So you just want to come in and tell people to take what you offering, don't question it, just take it. And if you're stupid enough to let people do you like that, it's because you haven't been listening to me. You may come to me stupid, but you won't leave that way. And you know that I'm not lying to you because all of the people that I talk about, they don't come in here. They don't want to come in here and talk to me. Grover Norquist, the last thing he wants to do is talk to me. He's still trying to figure out what made him go out there and tell that he was behind closed doors collecting signatures and stuff for people. They ain't gonna tell her, gonna get up there and tell that man that it's not me, it's the American people. No, it's not the American people. The American people didn't know nothing about what he was talking about. No pledge. You know, it's strange to hear people pledging their allegiance to a party. When all through school, I remember I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You know what indivisible means? It means that somebody like Donald Trump can't come and put you against your fellow citizen, you against one state against the other. Indivisible means not able to divide. And now they've divided you into red states and blue states. And you don't see what's happening to you. Yes, I'm talking to white people more than I am anybody. Because if it stops, if it's going to be stopped, you're going to have to lead it. You're going to have to lead the way. And like I said, you don't find out how a person really feels. A man that say he love white people, tell you what you do. See how he treats white people that cross him. Then you find out how he really feels. Look at a man that claimed to love black people. See how he treats black people that cross him. I remember the messenger said, and I got this from Minister Farrakhan. I never met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad personally. I only got the teachings from him through Minister Farrakhan, Minister Abdul Kareem, and the Muhammad Speaks newspapers. I never met him, sit down across the table from him like Minister Farrakhan and all of them did. I heard Minister Farrakhan say, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked him a question once, in words to this effect. He said, brother, how can you say that you will give your life for that which you will not give your time? And I know now that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was the second self of God, truly. And those words that he put in their mouths was designed to reach me. That's why I remember that. And people that that want to reach me, they have my phone number. And you will discover that. Ask anybody who's ever called me and reached me. Some of them say, well, did I call it a bad time? Do you have a minute? Are you too busy? And they will all tell you, I've always told people, I ain't never too busy to talk with you. My number one purpose for being here is to talk with you. That's my purpose for being born, was to share the truth from the Word of God with the people. Allah said, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman. Look how a lot of the things that you forgot, look how I bring to your attention the things that I see and I show it to you, like I'm showing you Grover Norquist now. And I'm not hiding. And this is an open forum. If Mr. Norquist hear me say something that or misinterpret something that he said, he is very welcome to come in here and straighten it out. We even tried to get an interview with him, didn't we? And what was his response? He was not interested. I mean, so when they were planning to bring out some stolen emails on Miss Clinton at this particular point in time, that and they're not releasing them in context. They releasing them. You know how you can take a sound bite out of what a person says and make it appear that they were saying something that they actually were not saying. Do you understand? Why don't they just drop it all out there if that's what they wanted to do, so that people can see the context of what was being said? But what happened? What they were planning for her, I had already prayed to Allah to let happen to them what they wanted to happen to her. Next thing you know, yeah, Donald Trump on the bus, talking all up on the women's clothes. And it wasn't one woman in particular. He's just talking about how he treat women. I mean, and I could say some things about where he was saying that all she gonna do is talk, she ain't gonna do nothing. I could say what that really meant. You know, I mean, it's a lot of things that Miss Clinton is too much of a lady to say. I mean, it's a lot of things she thinks that I know she don't let come out of her mouth. That is part of being an adult. And it's also part of being presidential. Tell me something. You know, I even heard somebody say, a couple of his supporters, they was on the NPR talking about that's how men talk in private or whatnot. What kind of men these women been hanging around? I mean, and they even said it don't bother them, because I know that's how men talk. Do you think all men are dogs? Civilized men would never use the type of language and the demeaning. I mean, men don't even talk about their. No. I can't even remember the last time I sat down and talked with a man about some escapades I had with women. But anyway, that's Let's go back to Norquist.
He looks at his voters and say that. That's why some of them look at their voters, don't want to say that, and they go, how about you? Could you release me from my pledge? No, I can't help you. You didn't promise me anything.
But you're the keeper of the pledge.
We remind your voters that you took the pledge.
You were the ones that are going to retaliate if they break the pledge.
Oh, no. The voters will retaliate. We may inform the voters. But let's say the voters...
Inform the voters with hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign or educational expenditures to point out the fact that they broke the pledge.
If necessary.
I mean, you make it...
Where do they get the money from to tell the voters that? It's the taxes that they're not paying. They're using that money to buy what you call, to buy privilege in the United States government, to buy puppets in the United States government. And they buy up a lot of airtime on the news networks and on the put a lot of advertisement out there, false advertisement, demeaning and saying that people that a congressman that they couldn't buy, they tell you, oh, this man ain't no good. He don't care about America, or he don't do that. And in reality, the true congressman wouldn't sign their pledge. The true congressman does not have a big bankroll behind him because the political party, especially the Republican Party, has been hijacked. I'm not saying that the Democrats are perfect. I mean, you cannot expect perfection from imperfection. There ain't nobody righteous in this country. Nobody. Allah is not judging you because you're not righteous. He's not going to destroy you because you're not righteous. Otherwise, I'd be destroyed too. Now remember, he even said, son of man, let me read it to you so that you understand. No, I don't think I'm righteous. How could I be righteous if I'm suffering from the same afflictions you got? But anyway, this is what Allah said to me in the 3rd chapter of Ezekiel. He says I'm going to start at the 18th verse. He said, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die. Now, in reality, thou shalt surely die should be in quotation marks. You see, then it would be more understandable that he said, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way. Now remember something. Your body receives warning from your head. Watch out for the nail over there on that board. The foot is about to step, but wherever the foot steps, it's because the head is guiding it. The foot can't see. So, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. If my soul need delivering, then that tells you that I ain't yet righteous either. I'm not in a state of total uprightness and whatnot. Now I'm here with you, suffering and struggling with my afflictions and my evil thoughts and whatnot, just like you. We all in this together. But Allah, since He told me that I have to be afflicted with everything that you're afflicted with, He said, I'm not going to. You don't have to ask me forgiveness for it or whatnot, even though I still do. He said, sacrifice and sin offering for my sins and all that, offering prayers for my sins. He said, no. He said, nope. But my ears has He opened, and now I delight to do His will, which is to speak the word of understanding to you, to make you understand what He had to say. So we are not being condemned or judged for being unrighteous. No, we are being judged and spared or condemned for how we feel about staying that way. To those who want to continue to stay that way, even after you discover that that's not the right way, well, now you can be judged because you in wickedness and you glad. You want to keep practicing it. But those who in wickedness and hate and wish that they could come out and just can't. Well, I'm the way out. I'm here to wash you up and let you out. That's why I have the keys of hell and of death. You know, they call hell the grave. Well, where they put you after death take you? Put you in the grave, huh? So I have the keys of hell and of death. Death is misunderstanding. The man that wanders out of the way of understanding shall remain in hell, in the congregation of the dead. Where do you find dead people congregated at? You find them in a graveyard, don't you? All right. So I have the keys of hell and death, and I'm using it on you now. Now, those who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness, I'm here to fill you with that, with the true understanding of the word of Holy Scriptures. And you notice you don't hear nobody trying to argue with me about the understanding I'm giving you, because they can't. It's not because I won't let them, it's because the mind that's in them won't let them. They don't have what I have. No one has what I have but me. And Allah bears me witness. As He said in His book before I was born, the revelation of the book, meaning the understanding of the book, there is no doubt in it. It's from the Lord of the worlds. I have the understanding of it. So how can you not know that the Lord of the worlds gave it to me? He and I are one. That's right. It is He that is speaking to you right now. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. I am prophesied of in the Word. And after being told to eat up the Word, now the Word is in me. He told me, son of man, take the book and eat it up and go and speak with my words. And that's exactly what I'm doing. You'll notice you haven't heard none of those from overseas telling me I'm not the Mahdi no more. If I'm not the Mahdi, come in here and tell me, not only tell me that, but tell me why not. They used to try to quote the hadith where they say the Mahdi is of Muhammad's family. That's what they say. And I told, once I straighten that out, then they don't want to talk to me anymore. I told them I am of Muhammad's family. By definition, I'm the only one of his family here. As Jesus said, whosoever doeth the will of my Father, the same as my mother and my brother and my sister. In other words, that's who his family is, those that do the will of Allah. Well, that's me. I'm of the family of Muhammad and of Jesus and all, as they all was of the same family. And I think in science, they say the same genus. I paid attention in school when I was in school. But in order to hang out with the brothers, a lot of times I just didn't do things that would get me A's and B's and stuff. But I'm a good listener. And I've always had a good memory. I never paid it any attention. But I was always things of truth. They always stuck with me. I have a hard time. You notice when I try to quote a lie that somebody told, I always had to wind up going back playing it. So I just, lies. I don't like, I can't remember things that don't add up. I can only remember that it didn't add up. And then I can bring it back and say, no, you said so-and-so. That don't make no sense. But I want you to listen to this.
Pretty clear. If someone breaks the pledge, you're going to do everything you can to get rid of them. To educate the voters that they raise taxes. And again, we educate people to get rid of them, to encourage them to go into another line of work, like shoplifting or bank robbing, where they have to do their own stealing. You've got them.
Now you notice, he's telling on them without realizing that he's telling on what they are. Why would he say bank robbing or, let's go back and listen.
To educate the voters that they raise taxes. And again, we educate people to get rid of them, to encourage them. We may inform the voters. But let's say the voters
inform the voters with hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign or educational expenditures to point out the fact that they broke the pledge.
If necessary.
I mean, you make it pretty clear. If someone breaks the pledge, you're going to do everything you can to get rid of them.
To educate the voters that they raise taxes. And again, we educate people to get rid of them, to encourage them to go into another line of work, like shoplifting or bank robbing.
To encourage them to go into another line of work. And then he says, like shoplifting or bank robbing, since you ain't smart enough to hang out around here with us. Now, this is what he's already acknowledging, that they are in a corrupt business there. Otherwise, why did he say he would encourage them to go into another line of work? Bank robbing. That's less lucrative, right? Robbing the American people is a more lucrative thing. And if you sign the pledge and do like we tell you, what? We'll let you sit up here and help us rob the American people. See, he telling on himself without knowing that he's telling on himself. Let me tell you something. You all these people that claim that they don't believe in the word of God, what you think make me see all of the things that I see? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Now, when he had all the choices of jobs that he could have said they need to go and get, why did he say like shoplifting or bank robbing? Because, I mean, they spend for a job that pays, what, $190,000 a year. You see people in a state election buying $3 million worth of ads. What is that about? Now, I told brother to tell you all that I was going to show you how to hold people accountable so that you wouldn't think that your government is no good or whatnot. Look, if you're going to elect Miss Clinton, and it seems that you are going to do so, which I think is good. You hear these people promising that they're going to be in there and they're going to continue to do with her what they did and tried to continue to do with President Obama. They want to be obstructionists. Now, if you're tired of a dysfunctional government, this is what you do. Elect Miss Clinton and then elect Democrats since they own the ticket. Those who would work with her and then see what she has in mind to do. Then if she has the support of the majority in the Senate and the House of Representatives, then she has no excuse for not making progress. Is that right? Then if something goes wrong, then you know who to blame. Don't let people make you decide to trash your own government. It's too much sacrifice and suffering went into establishing this government. You should feel that way. Give her a majority in the Congress to support her. Then you can see whether or not she had planned good for the country or not. Everybody pointing finger of blame, that don't get it. That was designed to make you get disgusted with your government. These people that Grover Norquist put in there and the people that Grover Norquist represent, I should say, put in there, because he didn't do it by himself. He just the spokesperson for them. When they put them people in there, they told them to create trouble. If you don't create trouble, we'll put somebody in there who can. Then when they get the American people disgusted with their own Congress, then it's easy to make them accept another form of government and call it democracy when it's really not. So they've been trying to get you to turn on yourselves. That's the only way. I remember once I was looking at Star Trek and the new Next Generation, and this little inferior culture had a game that when you start playing it subliminally took over your mind and wind up hypnotizing you. And they was going to get the Federation, the Enterprise, to go and destroy their enemies because they had mentally tricked the Captain Picard and the whole crew of the Enterprise, except Wesley Crusher. And they had dismantled Data. And Wesley saw what was going on and pretended to be hypnotized when he wasn't. And he went over and reactivated Data. And before they finally got to Wesley and made him knuckle under too, but Data undid it. But you got people trying to do the same thing on another level with your government. What is a pledge that people signing to not actually raise taxes? What about when the country needs revenue? What about when something for the good of all of the American people needs doing? What do you mean never raise taxes? That's part of your job. As long as it's in the best interest of the country and its people. When people can see benefit from what they are giving in taxes, they don't mind. But the first thing, see, in order to justify shrinking the government, they have to first make the American people hate the government and make the American people hate each other. Otherwise, it's an insult for you to go to the American people and tell them we want to shrink the size of your government. First, you got to turn them against their government. How do you do that? You create gridlock. You know, like the bridge gate. Time for some traffic problems. So they send in little imps into Congress. Says time for the debt of America to default. It's time to create gridlock. Even when Congress's approval rating went down, right? You would have thought that would have frightened them, huh? It didn't. They kept doing obstructionist things. So who are they really working for? When the American people are dissatisfied with you, you would think that, well, okay, what we've been doing, the people don't like it. We better go on and get on the ball and start supporting this president and helping him do things. They didn't care. Because they have decided that they can control you. Because they took control of the telemarketing media. They took control of the media. And then made it lawful to get in media and lie to the American people. That's what propaganda is. It's lies. And what did he say? If they don't sign the pledge, well, He make the American people know that they are not fit for office. Let them go get another job like shoplifting or bank robbing. Huh? Since we fixed it where they can rob the American people like taking candy from babies, why? Because the American people trusted the media. The American people trusted the people in media to tell them the truth. And that has been the case for most of the time. But now people get out there and read a teleprompter. If it hadn't been for the media, Donald Trump wouldn't even be at the top of a ticket now. He didn't get there by accident. If he wasn't buying advertisement, why was he in the media every day? People behind closed doors. That's one thing about media. They don't show you nothing that they don't want you to see. Is that right? Okay. So even he out there to my crooked media. Well, that's what put him up there. The media, they put him up there. He seemed to have no problem with it then, did he? But anyway, I'm going to tell you something. Allah can make people do things, and they think it's their idea. And right when they think that they're about to put the game over, he just flipped the script and make it work out totally different from what they wanted. So let me tell you something. You give, not just give Miss Clinton a chance, but if you want to give her a real chance, give her a Senate and a House of Representatives that will support what the lady wants to do. Take your country back. Okay. Did anyone have something they wanted to say? It can be disagreement with me. Come. I will listen to you. If you know someone who's always running off at the mouth saying that I'm some kind of whatever, what I see somebody got their phone unmuted. What do you want to say?
Allah assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum Allah salam.
Okay, if Donald Trump should win the presidency,
I'm not concerned about that. If he should.
No, I just want to ask you this. May I?
Yes, sir.
If he wins the presidency, and he already said he signed the what you call the pledge.
Yes, sir.
At the time of him saying that, what they call it, the swearing in of upholding the Constitution. How would that work?
Well, actually, the pledge that he claimed that they had for him, I don't know if he signed the Grover Norquist pledge or not, but I assume he did because he's not interested in raising no taxes on nobody.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that on TV.
No, I remember what he said on TV, and the pledge that he had signed was the one that he pledged not to run a third-party candidacy if he did not win the nomination. I remember what pledge that they was talking about. I ain't never.
I didn't know it was.
No, I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him.
It's one pledge.
But like I said, I have a good memory.
Okay.
And, he didn't come out and say he signed the Grover Norquist pledge, but some of the statements that he has made about not raising taxes, but he wants to lower taxes. So that tells you that he obviously agrees with them about that tax thing. But the pledge he signed was when they told him that he, all of the candidates were signing a pledge to not third party candidacy if they did not win the nomination. And he signed the pledge, and then he said, and as long as they deal fairly with me, I pledge not to run as a third party candidate or whatnot. So that's the pledge he signed. But like I said, with Miss Clinton, I just don't think that America will allow, I don't think that the people of America will allow a racist, bigoted man that only brings out and manifests and represents the worst of what's in America. I don't think the people will put him in the White House. I really don't. But I'm saying it's not enough to just put him in there. We've seen what happens when you just put a president in the White House, and then you have a Congress, a House of Representatives, and a Senate that begin to try to obstruct whatever the chief executive does. Then you wind up with the gridlock that you have, and you wind up with a 1.6% growth in the industry and the GDP, gross domestic product, of America, simply because the Congress is playing obstruction instead of cooperation. I mean, most people, do you know why the Oval Office, why the office of the presidency is oval? It's egg-shaped. It is because it is based on the way that the female or the woman's body is. When an egg, when a egg cell or ovum reaches a certain point in the woman's body, then a life germ, with the help of a group, a life germ makes it to that egg. Then that life germ, whichever one gets in there, has the freedom to determine what that egg becomes, man child or woman child. It begins to reorganize things. And that's what the Oval Office is. When a man becomes the chief executive of the government of America, then he got there by the majority of the people's vote. And he deserves the majority, or she deserves the majority of the support from the House and the Senate. And that's how it used to work. Whenever the president walked in, they all stood up, they all clapped, and they gave the president what he asked for, as long as it was not something that was just against the Constitution. Because he is the chief executive of the United States, and he is their president. And in the case with Ms. Clinton, she will be the president of all the people of the United States. They sit up and they make a big deal out of the fact that Donald Trump didn't say that he would recognize, if he lost, that he would respect the will of the people, like all others before him. And yet, they say that, but when President Obama became president, these same hypocrites did not accept the will of the people. They fought against the man . instead of cooperating with the president.
you don't think that Obama should have run again?
He couldn't run again.
The way they did.
No, brother. President Obama cannot run again.
Well, I heard of
no, sir. No. That was only done because of the country was in a state of war, and President Roosevelt, they didn't want to change presidents while the country was still at war. So they asked him, he got elected again. He served a third term. But they don't want no kings in this country, and I don't blame them. If that's the wonderful thing about the Constitution of the United States and the integrity and the dignity of that office, and that is that it is designed so it does not make any difference who the president is. For instance, many of the people have been misled to say, well, Obama just pulled all of the troops out of Iraq, and he shouldn't have done that. When the president before him had made an agreement that the troops would be pulled out of Iraq because the Iraqi people, the Iraqi government said they wanted America's troops out of there. And when the president said, well, okay, if you will, we can renegotiate this if you will grant that no American soldier will be able to be prosecuted or charged with any kind of criminal act in no court over here for things that may not have been above board. And they wouldn't make that agreement. So President Obama, he lived up to the agreement that President Bush had made, which was to pull out of Iraq. And they've told the people that, but they don't keep reiterating it. They keep letting liars come out there and act like he had a choice in that. Whenever one administration makes an agreement with a nation, the new administration just can't come in there and just start undoing agreements. The minute that America's word becomes what you call fluid instead of etched in stone, then America loses its prestige. Because if your word ain't nothing, if people can't trust your word from one administration to the next, they can't trust you. It's just like those 50 congressmen that wrote that letter over there to the Iranians, telling the Iranian president that if you make a deal with the Obama administration, well, we not duty bound to uphold that. And next, I mean, what kind of foolishness is that? They sound like a bunch of Negroes. We got more leaders than Carter got liver pills. And that's why we are on the bottom. You want to know how divided you are? Count your leaders. And we are never going to get nowhere like that. You want to get up, you got to move as one. The most progressive time for Black people in this country was under the example and leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You never seen any Black group nowhere in America that ever made the kind of successful progress that was made by the Nation of Islam when we were under one leader. The American people decided to bestow the power of administration of their country upon one leader. And he is called the President of the United States. And even though they didn't make him a dictator, they made him a dictator of sort, because Congress makes laws, and then the president is duty bound and sworn to uphold those laws in accord with the Constitution. And they made the power of government, they divided it into three departments, three branches. One government, but three branches that keep each other in check and balance. Congress makes the laws. President enforces the laws. If he has some doubt about something, then the Supreme Court interprets the laws and determines whether that law, if it comes up, which I think needs to be re-looked at, because if Congress makes laws, then it is also a check and a balance when they make a bill or try to pass a law. In order for it to be ordered, the president has to sign it. If the president thinks it's unconstitutional, he won't sign it. If he thinks it's not in the best interest of the country, he won't sign it. Then in order to force it into being, the Congress has to get at least 3/4 of its members to override the president's veto. And I think that's a good system for people who know that they are not righteous. So why should
we? How did these people sign this pledge? Now, the pledge is unconstitutional, right?
No, I don't say the pledge is unconstitutional. That's the freedom of people. You can have whatever kind of pledge you want. But it was done, understand something. That's one of the beautiful things about America. It doesn't say that people can't sign pledges or whatnot to whoever they want to. But the thing that now we do know is that a lot of these people who stand up and pledge to uphold the Constitution, Allah is now manifesting that they care more about the club. They done turned the Republican Party into a club. It's no longer really a political party, it's a political club. And you find people that in that club, they've been promised that if they signed a pledge, that the club would put all of the money that's necessary into the political system. Now that they've made laws that let you do that, the club made those laws by the members that they put in Congress to do their will. And so they put as much money as necessary to do a propaganda campaign demeaning whoever run against them to try to be an honest representative of the people. They make the honest man look like the crook and make the crook look like he's the honest man. And they do so with advertisements with political commercials and that kind of thing. And American people didn't know this was going on, but now you do. And I'm thinking that now that they are awakening to this, they will recover. And they will take their country back from the crooks who've been trying to usurp the authority over the government, thanks to the fact that Allah made him come out and tell on them. Now they told on themselves. And now everybody knows that they signing pledges not to, that the people asked them to sign, but pledges that the club asked them to sign. And then they come out and say, they tell you openly that they know Donald Trump is not fit to govern this country. He's not fit to be president. And then they tell you, but I'm going to still vote for him, for my party. Oh, tell him, okay, well, you and your party, you go ahead and vote for him. But we're going to vote your behind out of the Senate, and we're going to vote you out of our Congress, period. And to make sure that, and we're going to find all of them that signed that pledge, and we need to get them out of it. Because they got more care for the club than they do for the United States of America. And they proved that. If they know he's unfit to be president, why are they going to vote for him? That go for Marco Rubio. That go for Paul Ryan. That goes for Chris Christie. That goes for all of them. What's his name? That older gentleman. Mitch McConnell. That goes for all of them. John Boehner already gone. But he was talking about he gonna vote for him too. Oh yeah, you hate America that much, do you? I tell you what they wanted to do. They want to put crooks on the Supreme Court. They want to put people on the Supreme Court that have an agenda. A Supreme Court justice shouldn't have but one agenda, and that is proper and truthful interpretation of the Constitution of the United States. Because that is the wall of protection for the whole country. That's the firewall. And if you let people come in there and plant viruses in your, they reinterpret. I tell you what, I'm going to start reading about the militia and all of that kind of thing that they set up and whatnot. And you'll discover that they purposely misinterpreted the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment was not designed to put guns in every hand of every citizen in America. Even the military. In the military, everybody don't become an 0311. Don't know, everybody's not a grunt or an infantryman. If you notice, there are nurses and doctors in the military. There are people who don't go out shooting and going on. They may went to boot camp, but when it comes to, everybody can shoot. But their job is basically to specialize. Just like me, I was no 0311. I was a 2111. I was an infantry armorer. Infantry weapons armorer. I repaired weapons. Because they realize when they give you those tests and whatnot, they realize who is capable of being a killer and who's not. You don't do that for thousands of years and not be able to recognize the temperament of people. And anyone that does not recognize that Donald Trump does not have the temperament to be president of the United States is because they don't want to see, or they don't care. Which tells me one thing: you must hate this country. And you fix it how you want. But anyway, did anyone else have any questions they want to ask me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Well, if there are no more questions, I'm sorry I held y'all so long. I wanted to go.
Assalamu alaikum, Salaam.
Wa alaikum assalam. What is it?
Oh, I was wondering, when you were speaking on that family of being a family of Muhammad, I remember something in the Quran. I was wondering if that was referring to that on the 3rd chapter.
What you mean? The 3rd chapter?
Is that like referring to the family of the prophets?
No, that's not talking about. That's not.
It just crossed my mind. I just was.
That's not talking about. That's not talking about his physical offspring and whatnot. It's talking about this definition that was given as the Holy Quran and things that Prophet Muhammad brought. It was a reminder of that which came before him. Jesus already told you who your family is, who his family is. Pardon me. He said his family was those that did the will of his Father. Those who do the will of God, they are the family of the messengers of God. Noah had a son that he said, my son is of my family. You told me my family was going to be saved. And Allah told him he is not of your family. He is the embodiment of unrighteous conduct. Flesh and blood don't make you somebody's family. That's only by this world's standard. David had a son named Absalom that tried to murder his father. Now, as far as family go, every human being on the earth is family when it comes to flesh and blood, but not according to the word of God. You're not of the family of Muhammad unless you are the family of Jesus, or the family of David and Solomon and Moses. They are all of the same family. Kind of like what we call the plant family, the animal family, and then you get into specifics, the genus, what type of plant. And it's just like they talk about poisonous plants, poisonous trees. They call them of the taxus family. And, it's all kinds of things that you relate the term family to. But Allah made it clear when he told Noah that a son that came from his loins told him he's not of your family. So that do away with any person trying to suggest that when Muhammad said the Mahdi would be of his family, he wasn't talking about his biological offspring and stuff like that. He was talking about the family that Allah meant. If you notice, I always answer you all in accord with what the prophets have taught. You don't find me contradicting them. And you don't find me getting involved into insulting matches with people on a natural level. I'm always making sure that I speak to you as a representative of my family. And my family are the messengers of God, the angels. And that's why they metaphorically say that Gabriel is the chief angel Well, that's because Gabriel means the man of God. Well, who is the man of God? God said, I'm going to create a man of sounding clay of black mud, fashioned into shape. So when I've made him complete and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down, making obeisance to him. So the angels made obeisance, all of them together. Hence, the man of God is the chief of the angels. And that's me. So, now anybody else got a question? And again, I apologize for keeping you so late. I did not mean to. I meant to close out about 45 minutes ago. But I asked, was there questions? And someone asked me questions, so I had to answer them. So until Wednesday, may Allah bless us all and keep us safe and in our right minds. But know this, you have it in your power to make the government until it becomes functional like it's supposed to. When you elect the president, at all possible, give them a Congress that will work with them. And then you will know who to blame, or who to give credit to. If their ideas are sound, how are you going to know that if they can't get people to cooperate with them in the ideas that they have? And understand something. If you knew everything that a president knew, then you would be qualified to be president. But if a person has more experience at something than you, it's foolish on your part to think that you are equal to them in knowledge, have not experienced what they have experienced and known what they know. So if you elect the president, why not trust them to see what they're going to do? Trust them. Stop trying to make judgments before you see what happens. You know, I truly believe Miss Clinton cares about the country. And you can say whatever else you want about her, but I do believe she cares about America. And that's the first thing that will qualify you, in my mind, to be over this country. You should care about the country. Yeah. And any man, like Lawrence O'Donnell said, a man that does not even have respect for his own daughter, who would call his own daughter, tell a man it's okay on radio to call his daughter a piece of ass. It's no way that man can tell me he cares about his daughter. He may think he cares, but his actions and that statement says that he does not know how to care. And if he does not know how to care for his own family, he does not know how to care for the collective families. Yeah. Okay. I'm through for the evening. May Allah bless us all, keep us safe, and in our right minds. May Allah's Salaam Alaikum.